Hi, this is Abby from Witchcraft Criminal History. How you doing today? Hopefully you're doing well. We're doing another crime video. Yay! And this is actually quite a new one. This happened in 2016. So this is very, very new, and it's in a country which I haven't done any killers on yet. And it is Japan. Okay. In 2016, there was an attack on a disability house or care home for the disabled. 19 people were killed and many others were injured. 26 were injured and 13 of which were severely injured. The perpetrator of the massacre was Satoshi Uematsu. Satoshi was born in 1990, and he was 26 years old at the time of his crime. He actually was working at this particular care home for quite some time prior to the attack. However, he was fired due to him writing a letter to the Japanese government and stating that people with severe disabilities should be euthanized. If they can't look after themselves or contribute to society, then they should be euthanized with the permission of their guardians. And of course, that went down like a lead balloon. He got arrested and he was sent to a psychiatric hospital. This all happened prior to the attack. And sometime, after that, he was released. And because they thought that he was no threat to society, which is a little bit, weird. But, as I said in some of my earlier videos, we are human. People, in psychology, like I'll be going into psychology, and, authorities, we're human like everybody else. We can make mistakes. That is no different, to people in Satoshi's circumstances. They were, they're human. So mistakes were made. But to everybody outside, he was apparently Satoshi was very quiet, very friendly, very outgoing. He, to everybody else, he didn't seem to be a threat, didn't seem to be, out of the norm. He seemed to be literally the guy next door. And working for the disabled before he got arrested, that was, gave an illusion, I reckon, to the people around him that, look at this guy, he's an outstanding guy, he's looking after people with disabilities. Even in Japan, because a little side note, in Japan, if you got a disability or you got a member of your family who has a disability, it is considered highly embarrassing to families, and it is really, really bad. If you had a disabled child, that the government would actually encourage parents to institutionalize their children if they had a severe disability. And I think it was just up to, the 1980s. I don't think it was 1990s. I think it was more like up to the 1980s, 1970s, 1980s. that that eugenics was still being conducted in Japan. If you had a disability, a severe disability, or even a minor disability, you either was encouraged to voluntarily get castrated or sterilized, or you were forced to, because they didn't want disabilities to keep going if you had a disability. So they tried to genetically wipe out all forms of disabilities. And that's what eugenics pretty much is, to get the superior race by killing off or neutralizing the chance of offspring, coming about from people who aren't superior. So people who are of, lower standards, such as people with disabilities. In some cases, this is mainly in Europe, if you were poor, it was encouraged that you shouldn't reproduce if you're poor. It's okay if you're rich, but if you're poor, nah. And that was pretty much what eugenics is trying to get rid of a genetical factor. Whatever was undesired. And sadly in Japan, disabilities were considered highly undesirable. And even today, even if you got a degree, even if you got, a PhD in physics, and you achieve this degree in the US, Australia, UK, and you return to Japan, and you had a severe disability, you won't be able to find work whatsoever, even though you've got a PhD in physics. Now, you can easily go to a lecture theatre and teach people about physics, and all you need is your mouth. But because you're disabled, no one will hire you, which is really, really sad. And this is pretty much what is happening in Japan. So that's a little bit of background. And with Satoshi decided, after everything, after he got arrested, he was obviously still planning stuff, because he knew this care facility. He knew it inside out, because he worked there, and he even promised the Japanese authorities that he was more than willing to kill, I think it was over 400 people who has disabilities for them. Because he believes if you've got severe disabilities, as I said before, and in his mind, you didn't, you should be euthanized. You don't serve society, and you should be euthanized. And so this happened in Sagamihara, Kangawa, which I think is they said is about an hour away from Tokyo. And on about 2 a.m. on the 26th of July 2016, Satoshi broke in to the Midori ward in the care facility. And he was apparently armed to the teeth. He had plenty of large knives. And he would sneak into, because I think he was able to break into the facility through a window. I'm not quite sure how he was able to break in through a window, but apparently he broke in through a window. And he would quietly go around to each room in this facility and stab the patients while they were asleep. Usually they had their throats cut. And he kept doing this and doing this and doing this. And, ultimately he killed 19 people. So the youngest was 19, the oldest was in their 70s. And, after he committed, these crimes, the oldest was 75, that's a bit right, yeah. The eldest was 75. And, it took him about maybe 10 to 20 minutes to go on this murder spree through the nursing home. And the police were called at 2:30 in the morning. This is Japanese time. And he was, this guy, obviously, Satoshi, wasn't exactly the sharpest tool in the shed, but then again, I don't think he really cared that he was actually caught on security camera, and you could actually see his car parked in the front of the care facility and going to the boot and getting giant knives out of the boot. And the police were able to acquire it at 2:50 in the morning. And Satoshi surrendered himself around about 4 a.m. So about an hour later, he actually turned himself into the police station. Even though, they came to the police station, or they went to the care facility. Because they came into because unfortunately the police, they came into the care facility, and they were the ones who discovered the carnage. They were the ones, it was Japanese police who, discovered the dead bodies of all these, injured people and, killed people. Satoshi killed 10 women and 9 men. And on the 20th of February 2017, Satoshi was found mentally competent to stand trial. And on the 24th of February, Satoshi was charged with 19 counts of murder and 24 counts of attempted murder, 2 counts of illegal confinement causing injury, 3 counts of illegal confinement, 1 count of unlawful entry, and 1 count of violating the Swords and Firearms Control Law. And he is actually getting prosecuted sometime this year. So this is an upgoing, video. So like I said, this is a brand new video, a very recent case on Satoshi. And I think Satoshi is somewhere confined in a prison. So, like I said, this is still an ongoing thing. And this massacre is the largest massacre to occur in Japan since World War II. This is the largest massacre. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video on Satoshi. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and blessed be.